Hey everybody, Garcia here, and today we're going to be traveling to the Golden Age of Astronautics and putting together our own research and development hub in Space Explorers. In this card game, the players are going to be hiring new characters to their own section, to their tableau, and you are going to be using the special powers on those characters to further your goals, to try to get the most victory points possible. You are trying to be as efficient as you can in your payment for these characters, and also make sure that you have some special abilities that are working well together and furthering, again, your plan. So let's go ahead and take a look at how the game works. We'll come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. So here we are taking a look at the game setup for 3 players. Everybody has one of these boards with 5 different sections in which to hire different characters. You are going to have these 5 tokens to begin with, 1 card in your hand, and then we flipped over 6 more cards and we put a number of these out depending on the number of players. And then you're ready to begin. So someone's going to be the start player to make sure that we have the equal number of turns. And we're going to keep going around taking turns until either someone has hired 12 characters or all of these have been claimed by the players. Finish out that round, see who's got the most victory points. And so as you can see, the characters over here have a few different pieces on them. So let me see if I can break this down a little bit, and I'll use a couple of these as examples, all right? So they tell you up here a number of victory points. Right below that is their type of character, so where they'll go in your column. Noticing that some of them have multiple professions, basically, or schools that they can be added into. And then you've got down here at the bottom a cost for that character, which things you must pay or give up in order to claim them and hire them. And so you'll see, of course, some of them have quite a few more symbols. And then at the bottom corner over here, there will be a special ability on some of the characters. So for example, this character here, once they have been claimed, and while they are still the top card in that column, then you are going to get 2 symbols towards that whenever you need to pay for someone else. All right. One more thing that happens is that further characters of in the same column of the same kind are going to reduce the cost of something, but I'll come back to that in a little bit. All right, so let's say it's my turn. I'm going to be the starting player here, and on my turn, I can do one of 2 things. I can A, take a card into my hand, so I can take any one of these, put it in my hand, and then after I've done that, if the amount of cards on the board has dropped below 6, I will add a card to make sure it goes back to 6. And then the other option is recruit a character. You can recruit a character either from your hand or directly from the board, and you'll have to pay for that character. So let's say that this player over here wants to hire that character right there. To pay for it, it's going to take 2 of the helmet symbol there, that symbol there. All right. Now you begin with 1 over here in your tokens, and to pay these symbols here, you would simply give them up to the player to your left. So if this player had 2 of these, let's say, they could give them both to this player. And now that player would have access to them, and they could pass them on if they wanted to pay them and so forth. The other option, though, is to discard a card from your hand back to the common pool here. And each one you discard will take care of any 2 symbols for a cost. So this player is going to take this one, put them in the correct column, and discard this card from their hand to pay for that one. Now they've got that character hired. This one's in the pool. There are at least 6, so they are done. And we go to the third player over here. This third player is going to hire the card that's in their hand. This card here is going to go to this column, and it has 3 symbols. It has the crane symbol there, it has the gear symbol, and then this beaker symbol. So those 3, and they will pass them to their left. So they come to me, and they're done, and I take my turn now, in which I can hire someone. So let's say I've already hired this one previously, all right? And I'll go ahead and put it out here in the center of the table so that you can see that. I've hired that one, and now I wish to hire this one. The first thing that I check is how many symbols I've got in the column in which this one is going to join. And in this case, there's already 1 symbol there. So what that means is, starting from the bottom of the cost, working my way up, I'm going to ignore one symbol. If there were multiples there, let's say I've already hired both of these and I wish to hire this one, then I'm going to ignore two symbols from the bottom. And I would just have to pay the 2 red tokens there. And again, I could do that by discarding a card from my hand, or I could do so by paying the tokens, or I could it's very likely I'll also have characters that give me these tokens, virtual versions of those tokens, and I don't have to pay anything at all. All right? So once I've taken one of those 2 actions, let's say I built that and I paid my tokens or discarded a card, then the final thing everyone will do on their turn is they may take one of these as long as they qualify for the requirements at the bottom. And as you can see there, this one needs 3 symbols in the green column of the green type, and then 2 of those red ones there. And if you've got that combination, you can take this, and you're going to get those victory points. And that's all. That does not take an action. If you can satisfy it, you can take it, but only 1 per turn. And that's pretty much how the game flows. Of course, that's the bare bones of the game, and there are tons of characters that have special powers, special abilities, special ways in which they score, all sorts of things. So for example, here we've got this one, who up here where the score would be has an asterisk. And it tells you in the bottom corner how they score. In this case, 2 victory points for every card. I believe that means every card played on top of it, but I don't have to guess because everyone is going to have one of these right here that gives you the breakdown of what all the characters in the game do. And so there's a number up here. The number is 36. I would just find 36 on this board. And it says 2 progress points for each specialist placed below this one in the same division. All right, so below. That's what I want. And so that's how I'm going to score victory points. I'll get 2 or 4 or 6 points and so on. You've also got, of course, characters that do other things. Like I said, these give you tokens, and there are others that, like this one here, character 45. So again, we go to the board, we check out 45, and it says after placing a specialist on top of this one, you get to draw 2 cards. That's only going to happen once, because as soon as you play a specialist on top of this one, you are going to cover that power up. And only the bottom one, i.e. the one showing, is going to be the active one. You can also take those special abilities on some of them that can be triggered as you so choose, but only once per turn for each of those. And that's all there is to it. So you're collecting characters, you're completing these, you're making sure you have some synergy with your special powers, and the game's going to be over when someone gets to 12 or all of these have been claimed. At that point, you score your victory points from these, from the asterisks, and from these, and you figure out who's got the highest score. That person is going to be the winner of the game. So, hopefully that gives you enough of an idea of the moving parts in the game without going into too many other special powers that you understand how it's all going to flow and play out. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. So that is Space Explorers. For those of you who are familiar with games such as Splendor, you'll see a lot of similarities here. But this game certainly has enough going on that is different from a game like that to make it its own creation, and I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and break it down, okay? I'm going to start with a couple of things I thought were a little weak, and we're going to end up strong. So the first thing is the theme. I actually really like the theme in this game. I just don't find the game to be very thematic. The theme could have been truly anything, and nothing in the game feels like I am at the Golden Age of Astronautics, right? Nothing really puts me there, and I could see kind of through that theme and realize this could have been about trading silk in the Middle Ages, or it could have been about, harvesting fruit in Venezuela, or it could have been anything. So that hurts a little bit, though I appreciate, again, that it does have this theme. And a lot of that appreciation is going to come from the artwork, but we'll talk about that in just one second. The other thing I think is a little tough to deal with is the ease of play. The ease of play in the game is somewhere down the middle of the road. On the one hand, they give you these, and I think these are invaluable. I mean, the game I would ding this severely if it did not include these. But there is still a lot of iconography in the game, and there is still a lot of downtime, a lot of analysis paralysis while you figure out what you should do. It's not a game that is necessarily complex, but it's not one that flows very smoothly either. The idea of symbols being canceled from the bottom up, depending on how many symbols of that kind you've already got, and then other cards discounting some of those symbols, and then being able to pay your tokens, which is clever. But again, that sort of that process and everything I'm describing does not include the thought process of what you actually want to do, is going to lead to some downtime and be a little rocky, definitely for your first few plays, if not after that. Everything I did like I said, aesthetics, great quality components, great artwork. I don't like that they reused a lot of the illustrations in so many cards. Some of them are simply close-ups of other cards. Cute, it's a nice idea, but I would have loved to have seen more artwork. Though the artwork itself is fantastic, it definitely has the right look to everything, and I enjoy that. Replayability. Tons of effects in this game. Tons of different combinations you can bring forth. Pursuits you can choose to seek out. That kind of thing. I'll talk about in tactics as well, but that's the kind of concept in the game that, for me, puts this way above something like Splendor, which was very much the same idea. Collect cards, because they give you, money, basically, power, to get more, bigger, better cards. In this one, that's all there, but then you've also got this idea of the powers at the bottom of the cards, and you have them available until you cover it up anyway. All that works very well together. Game length. It's a fairly short game. It's going to have, like I said, some of that downtime that will alleviate itself, hopefully, with more plays. But it's still a fairly short game. Racing to 12 cards does not take very long, and the game has a nice ramp-up effect, because the more you get cards, the easier it'll be to get more and further cards, so that ramps up. And then lastly, tactics and strategy and all those things. Luck is certainly an aspect, yes, but you've got the nice display out there. But it's all about those effects, how you tackle something, where you choose to make your points. Do you try to go for those objectives laid out, the tiles? You can choose to do that and just get the colors you need to snatch those up. That's a nice amount of points. You can certainly have synergies between colors. Many of the characters will score 1 point per a symbol that shows up in a different column. So you can try to have a synergy there. There's a lot to it, and so I appreciate that. Overall, I have to say, Space Explorers, while I mentioned a couple of negative little things, I was overall very impressed with it. It's a very well put together production. It's an interesting game. It's a clever game. And it's one that has kept me engaged. It's one that when I play, I find myself drawn in and immersed in the experience it provides. So this one's going to get a seal of approval from me. Definitely would recommend it if you are looking for a card game that gives you a lot with very few components, which is kind of how this feels, and forces you to really make sure every little decision is an important one. So that's going to be it. Again, seal of approval from me. I'm Z Garcia, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.